As much as I try to get things back to normal around here and kind of talk about the positive side of gaming, because let's just be real, gaming is in flux. You've got thousands of people getting laid off across the industry. You've got Sony putting their stuff on PC, even their VR. You've got Microsoft basically becoming a third-party publisher, and so they're in flux. So you try to be as positive as you can about it, but I feel like Microsoft has gone about a lot of this stuff the completely wrong way, and it's kind of unfortunate to say the least, because fans are, I don't want to say fickle, but I believe, and I was talking to a friend of mine about this who's a big Xbox fan, but Xbox, really, they promised us our day was coming, our day in the sun, and we really never got that day in the sun, to be quite honest about it. And it's unfortunate, because I felt like a lot of us waited around and bought into what was being told to us and things like that, and that never really materialized into these amazing things that we're going to get. So that's really kind of an unfortunate thing. So when you see stuff like this, you sort of look at it and you go, yeah, man, I can understand why some Xbox fans are upset about it. It seems small, but given the fact that they're losing basically every exclusive game that we got in the worst year in Xbox history in 2022, you can kind of see where they're coming from with it. So a lot of fans are blasting Obsidian Entertainment for prioritizing the PS5 and Switch versions of Pentiment, because they're a first-party studio, and so they put the PlayStation 5 version up front, and then the Switch version. Plus, I got to be honest, it really seems like to me that there's much more hype and much more, I guess I just want to say advertisement for these games now that they're on other platforms, and they just seem in general happier about it being. Maybe it's me, I don't know, but a lot of them do seem like they're celebrating that these games are on PlayStation and Switch or whatever, and they're no longer just like a situation where they're an Xbox studio and what have you. So I can understand some of that. It's like almost like you almost feel resentment or whatever. And some people have brought up some really good points on this. Like, we don't know per se yet, but it's kind of rumored that Pentiment might be 120 frames on PlayStation 5, or some of these games might support higher frame rates on PlayStation 5 versus Xbox. So it is one of those things where we can kind of look at this and say it's kind of disappointing. But earlier in the week, it was announced that Obsidian's Pentiment was crossing the threshold from being an Xbox exclusive and joining PlayStation 5 and Nintendo Switch. And so far, the decision seems to have gone pretty well. However, what's not going down well is how Obsidian is marketing the new physical versions in terms of these releases, as a social media post was criticized for prioritizing the other two systems rather than Xbox. There's the image, you can see, and it is obviously PlayStation up front. Various people said this. Gabe from Twitter says, geez, you guys can't even put the Xbox version first. You're a first-party studio. Someone else on Twitter said Xbox version in the back, no physical when it came to Xbox, but now when it's on PS5, it has a physical release. Give me a break. We are the most abused fan base. Somebody else said, make sure the Xbox One is hidden version in the back. We second-class citizens don't deserve better. So you could argue that some people are overreacting a bit, considering Limited Run put the Xbox version first in their marketing material, but it's also easy to understand why it's a bad look to the publishing materials along these lines. Obsidian is a first-party Xbox studio at the end of the day, and you wouldn't know it based on these. Anyway, it's very interesting to see criticism like this go on, as there's been some discussion about the lack of Xbox game logos and placed on PlayStation and Nintendo versions. Again, we'll have to see. I mean, listen, Microsoft is definitely going to be learning from this. Here's the most interesting thing to me anyway, is Obsidian was bought to make exclusive games. Clearly, I mean, they're not ZeniMax or anything like that. And they were bought in 2019, and yet now they have yet to make anything exclusive for Xbox. Pentiment has now gone multi-platform. Of course, Outer Worlds was multi-plat. I'm sure Outer Worlds 2 will probably be multi-plat. And you can look at Grounded. That is multi-plat as well. That leaves Avowed coming this year, but people are going to probably wonder when that's going to go multi-platform as well. So again, we are kind of looking at this situation, and I can understand why people are upset. We'll have to deal with this as well, and then I think it might be another blow when when people actually come out and see that some of these games run better on on PlayStation. At the very least, it's one of those things that Microsoft is not doing a good job of kind of making us feel respected or whatever. It's kind of a slap in the face, and that's kind of the way that I put it. They were talking about how things are gonna, when they originally bought Xbox, or bought ZeniMax, and they were talking about that it's really important that things are either first on Xbox or best on Xbox, and obviously the PlayStation 5 Pro, although not announced yet, seems like it's going to be a thing, and they're going to probably support that. And at the end of the day, when we're looking at these kind of games and we're looking at kind of what's going on, I just feel like Xbox fans are kind of getting the shaft all the way around. Maybe this year changes things around a little bit with a situation with Hellblade 2, Avowed, and Indiana Jones, but those games could come to PlayStation at any point as well. So, you never really know kind of what's going on. But, at the same time, I feel like Microsoft is kind of screwing everybody over here a little bit. But, again, we don't really know for sure what the end game is going to be. I'm sure, it feels like Microsoft doesn't want to kill the hardware, but it doesn't feel like they're doing a good job of not doing that. Right, as far as I can tell. So I understand all the frustrations. I want to be positive and just talk about the games and the all this kind of stuff, but it's really hard to do that when Microsoft really seems to be trying to be more of a third-party publisher, and they already had so many big heavy hitters that are third-party that go on everything. I mean, they own Call of Duty, Minecraft. Those are like two of the biggest games right there, and they're on everything. So they own World of Warcraft. They own Elder Scrolls Online, which is huge. They own Fallout 76, which is huge. All the Minecraft subsidiaries have been multi-platform. So again, when we look at this, there's very few games that they've have that that realistically can be exclusive, that have even been exclusive. So it's really just one of those things that realistically are not good. And then obviously there's also rumors that Hi-Fi Rush and Sea of Thieves will launch on Switch 2 next year, whenever that is. So what is Xbox getting from any of this is what I'd love to know. Because they already have a plethora of huge third-party games making a lot of money. I just find it hard to believe that Pentiment and Hi-Fi Rush are going to tip it over the edge and get us all this more content, right? So I don't know. Maybe I'm insane. What do you guys think? Sound off in the comments. I'm going to link this. Rack 'em up. Crap Gamer out.